Great. Well, hey, good morning. What an exciting day it is today. I mean, Harriet's keynote just got us all excited. I was talking to some of you a little earlier, and this is just such a great forum to all come together. So it's an absolute honor to be here with you today. And I'm really excited just to share our views about AI, cognitive enterprise, the cloud, and how we bring all this together. It's also just an absolute pleasure to be back in Korea. I've met with many of you over the years. I've been here many times, especially since 2014. That was the year we started our Watson business at IBM. And I just reflect back here in Korea, you've always been first with innovation, and you've always been the first to try things that are really going to drive value to businesses and to society. And I reflect back over that journey, and I just think of all the impactful conversations our teams have had with many of you about AI, data, cloud. How is it truly making a difference for everybody? And it's just amazing how far it's come in the evolution of AI. I think of Lotte, Hyundai Credit, working with partners like SK. It's sped up. I thought we couldn't go faster, but we have. And I'm going so far as to say 2019 is the year AI goes into production. At IBM, we have over 20,000 projects in AI in 80 countries across 20 industries. And we're just getting started. So what I'd like to do today is to share with you first our 5 lessons learned. You heard Harriet speak earlier about what it's going to take to be successful in the next chapter 2. And so we wanted to share with you some of those learnings that are going to be important for you to think through as you enter this chapter 2 of your digital transformation. And then I'm going to share with you some more of the details about the cognitive enterprise. Obviously, we're super excited. We think it's a game changer. It's really going to help you frame out how to be successful and ultimately be that destination. And then lastly, I'm going to finish with 2 examples, one here in Korea at Lotte, and the other Royal Bank of Scotland. So when we talk about chapter 2, and we look at the approaches, these first 2 lessons learned are really how you want to approach this digital transformation. As Harry alluded to, when we look over the last 5 years, understandably, companies like you had a very customer-focused point of view. It's that kind of outside in to look at how can you truly change and transform the relationship with your customers. So it's very customer-centric, and to drive that change, we saw a proliferation of a lot of client experience, customer experience types of applications that made a difference. And when we look at chapter 2, it's the idea of this workflow, these intelligent workflows. It's the idea that data is driving the change. And to make it happen, you're going to have to modernize your applications. But that's really good because it's going to provide you with flexible, scalable, open types of architecture. The third is we need business platforms. You saw some good examples earlier, and you're going to need business platforms to connect these 2 things, the outside in and the inside out. And these are platforms that are going to be fueled by data, and we're going to infuse AI into all those processes. And this is really, really important because this is going to give people the confidence that you're going to empower them to use this technology. And with that, you'll gain more adoption and accelerate. The fourth is around when we look at, for the old days, when we looked at the whole life cycle of development platforms that ran our applications. You're going to need that AI platform today because you're going to have to look at that whole life cycle and track all of those exciting changes that are going to be happening. And you're going to have to address things like explainability of AI. What happens in those neural networks? What happens to the data? Bias of data. How do we detect bias in those decisions that are made? And that's why recently IBM launched our Watson OpenScale, partnered with our earlier technology solutions, Watson Studio and Watson for Machine Learning. So we've got you covered. We have the full life cycle of that AI platform. And then lastly, we have a colleague that likes to say you can't have AI without IA, information architecture, because you'll find that you're going to spend 80% of your time getting the data ready for this next era. So now let's spend a minute more on the cognitive enterprise. Again, think of this outside-in, customer-focused, giving away to this inside-out, because we have all this data, this proprietary data included. And now what we want to do is we look at the way these digital trends are maturing, we're on the cusp of the next big shift in business architecture. Architecture that's going to make a difference in how you interact, and it's going to determine your current as well as your future success. And when you look at this business and some of the changes we need to make with the architecture, it's going to create these intelligent workflows. So you have the data, you have all these amazing technologies, and you're going to really impact that supply chain and going end to end in creating these workflows. Those workflows are going to be redesigned by the people that know the business process, that know the industries. And in the end, that result is going to drive this revolutionary change, what we call the cognitive enterprise. So again, think about that. Outside in, customer focused, now the inside out, using all this data for the incumbents to strike back and use this information to really not only improve your operations, expand your ecosystems, and drive that change that could help explore and open up some new economic channels. So what I'd like to do now is just walk through a quick example. I know we're talking about some concepts and ideas, but let's just say you're an insurance company and you have claims, and you want to look at how you can use AI to change that experience on how you process your standard claims with AI. And let's say there's a natural event, a natural disaster is coming. So what would you typically do? You would take all that weather data and that information. You would have the front office of your organization send that out to all your customers in the affected areas to make sure they have an opportunity to evacuate before the storm. And then after the event, you could have drones taking pictures and working with a cognitive agent to create a customer claim. And then that cognitive agent will work with the customer to file the claim. So attach the photos of the damage, work with the customer, file the claim with that middle office. And then the middle office will review and it will approve the claim. And that will in turn create a work authorization for a repair representative to go out and look at the different agencies and ultimately go work with the customer to solve the problem. And so in effect, you completed most of the cycle, but there's another important piece. You're collecting all this data, unstructured data, as well as structured data, and based on that service representative working with different customers, they're going to take all that information and then store it in the back office. That back office can then go to the front office and basically look at the policy, and based on those fault information, determine whether or not there would be suggestions to update the policy that the consumer has with the insurance company. So just think about that and how transformational that can be. Looking at supply chain, looking at customer service, and really rethinking what can you eliminate? What can you do in parallel? And best of all is you have this data driving the change. So now let's explore a little more of the details, and I'm just going to use 4 examples of levers within this cognitive enterprise. The first is it starts with building this culture of agile innovation, right? It's looking at what is possible. What are those business outcomes that are truly going to be important to your success as you move forward? And I'll give you a couple quick examples. One is food trust. You saw a video earlier about some of the exciting things we're doing with blockchain, right? We all like to eat, and we want to have the peace of mind to know that the food you're eating is fresh, and there's no risk of spoilage. We've been working with Walmart, and we've been able to reduce the amount of time it takes to track across that supply chain food from 7 days down to 2.4 seconds. Another example is WeTrade. It's a consortium of 13 banks in Europe, and some are competitors. And rallying around blockchain, again, a business platform solution, they wanted to enter a new market or be more successful in the small and medium business. And they wanted to be able to provide trade finance. So these groups of companies have come together, and they're just getting started. Probably many more will come. But again, this comes back to this agile innovation, this culture. It's a different way of thinking. You can almost think about, like, what do you want to be famous for? You know, is it supply chain? When you think of Walmart, the earlier example with Maersk, it's all about driving the innovation. And some of us spoke earlier this morning about it's not just the technology, it's how you apply the technology to truly drive the difference. And then the other pieces that are very important when we talk about this change is the governance. Again, this is going to take a whole organization. When you talk about that example with Walmart, that's not an IT project. It's not a business project. It's everybody coming together from the very top of these different functions within companies to really think about these new paradigms of what's possible. And that's going to be critical as you move forward. The next area is the intelligent workflows. And this is where I get super excited because I spend most of my waking hours working with clients like yourself, just thinking about the art of the possible. And these intelligent workflows basically run on these business platforms I alluded to, and they're in place to help you run your businesses more efficiently. And when we look at these workflows, we're trying to think about what is that next opportunity to really make a difference. So these workflows are really fueled, again, by the data, and we're using these workflows and all this information to update that end-to-end process, to help you reimagine the way work gets done. I'll keep it real simple. And again, I've been working with the Watson and AI and data for the last several years, and the way I look at it very simply is data creates insight. Insight creates knowledge. That knowledge is embedded into these intelligent workflows. And then you're able to take, the secret of all this is to be able to take that information, these workflows, extend across your supply chain internally, or maybe like in the Walmart, extend outside into that ecosystem using these business platforms. That's where the power comes in, is to be able to share that information, that insight, those learnings, and ultimately help you make faster and better decisions. That's what this is all about. And then the fourth area is when you look at these business platforms themselves. So think of, again, the intelligent workflows running in these business platforms. The business platforms are the backbone that basically orchestrate all this digitally. So you think of those workflows, automation, AI, and data, and streamlining. And many of these business platforms are built on these technical architectures, which are powered by the cloud. You heard Harriet talk earlier about the hybrid cloud. You know, for example, at IBM, our hybrid cloud enables customers to drive more flexibility and to make choices to allow their applications and services to be deployed and managed on wherever it makes the most sense. Is it an on-premise type of solution? Is it a public cloud? Is it a private cloud? Or in effect, a hybrid cloud? It's a combination. And you have to be assured that it needs to be secure to the core. And then the fourth piece is data. Data, data, data. Data is the gold. It is just so valuable. The internal information that you have, that's your IP, right? Only 20% of the world's data is searchable via the web. The other 80% sits behind your four walls. The power, the magic, I like to call it, is when you can take the 20% and the 80% and you drive the learnings in the insights that's going to not only streamline your business, but help you make and be more competitive. So now let's talk about a couple of examples. So Lotte, I've had the absolute honor and privilege with our team here in Korea to work with Lotte for over the last 3 years. And they, as you know, a large multinational company, one of the biggest in Korea, they are just so laser focused and always driving innovation in everything they do, whether it be internally, working with their employees and just thinking about their different functions, or externally with their customers. They have this hyper focus on always enriching that customer experience. So one of their challenges to us was how do we think through how we can leverage this AI in this data. In this case, we leverage Watson to really make that customer experience be differentiated, a unique journey for each of those customers. And so here we are now, a couple of years later, since it launched in 2017, and we launched what we call a Charlotte, which is a shopping advisor. It's 24/7. Customers can basically ask any questions about maybe online types of products and services or within the store. It could capture things like store events or other key activities. It can talk about some of the external social events. And best of all, it combines that experience with maybe historical information about that customer. So it's a very powerful opportunity to bring it all together, and it's seen tremendous increases in customer satisfaction. And there's much more to do, but it's just a great example of moving quickly to take advantage of the various opportunities. Next is RBS, Royal Bank of Scotland. I've had the honor to work with Ian McLaughlin, who's their CEO of their home mortgage business, in some of the low-tech, just very focused on the customer and how they can drive value. Now, what the problem they were trying to solve is the UK traditional business and banking market is one of the most competitive in the world. 25% of the new revenue comes from new entrants. So it's very competitive, and they have very good market share in certain markets like the UK. So they needed to really think about what could they do. Back to the point about business outcomes. What's that success? What do you focus on? Ian wants to create that end goal to have paperless mortgages, to be able to go process, rip some processes out, maybe add some process, do things in parallel. But again, the source of it all is the data. And so we've worked with them on 7 different AI use cases that are in production today, not just in customer service, in supply chain, HR, finance. And so they're really reimagining in this cognitive enterprise construct how they can drive maximum value for their customers, and also internally, how can they wring out some of those inefficiencies. And like Lotte, they're very measured on hard metrics like customer satisfaction, NPS. And like Lotte, they've received various awards for their accomplishments. So again, much more to do, but it just shows you the power of taking the data and bringing it all together in this cognitive enterprise. So I'd like to leave you with 3 thoughts in closing about how you can be more successful with the next part of your digital and AI transformation. The first is chapter 2 represents a very special moment for all of you. It's something that doesn't happen a lot when you think about it. The incumbents have an opportunity to strike back. You have this convergence of all this technology, the cloud, data, AI, automation, creating these intelligent workflows, incredible power. I think it's a game changer because it's going to help you transform your businesses. It's going to help you explore new business models, like in the Maersk, in the Walmart examples, looking outside across the ecosystem. You couldn't do it without these platforms and without the cloud to make it happen. So it's very exciting. The second is AI. I think AI is going to have as transformational impact as the internet did 20 years ago. And the reason why I feel so strongly is just look at the everyday, whether it's personal, your family life, or public, social service, or in our business. It's permeating all aspects in a very good way. Now we need to take advantage of it, but as important as that AI strategy is, I would argue it's even more important to make sure you understand how you're going to leverage all the data, all this insight, all these workflows. To me, that's your intellectual property. That's your IP. And you want to protect that. And that's going to be very, very important. So make sure you, as important as the AI strategy, it all comes together to make sure you leverage the output of a lot of this. And then back to the skills. The skills are just so very important. It's upon all of us. We were talking earlier when we were having tea, just about we all have a responsibility to come together and make sure that we're not leaving anyone behind from a skills and capabilities. And it's going to be very important for all of you that start on this journey to make sure that your employees have the requisite skills to be successful in this cognitive enterprise. Think of these intelligent workflows or data science. There's a lot of opportunity, and I will go so far to say, done right, that's going to be one of your best assets, your people in the workforce. And third and finally, I'm often asked, well, Jay, how do I get started? And I'm the first to admit, we've tried different things over the years, like proof of concepts or POCs, and I think, there's mixed success. Because we're talking about such transformational change and impact. So one thing that we did at IBM about a year ago is create these, what we call garages, IBM garages. And I found that if I look globally across all the various businesses we serve across those 80 plus countries, the garages are a great entry point to get our teams together. Think of it like ideation, getting our teams together, doing co-creation, co-innovation, using MVPs to get started. And to Harriet's earlier point, the key is going to be to scale it. So great, we move quickly, we have agile teams, but now you need to scale it because it's just so competitive. You're going to want to make sure you leverage it accordingly and go really, really fast. So hopefully this will be helpful in your journeys in Chapter 2. I think the future has never been brighter, and I wish you the very best of luck. Thank you.